Hey, how is it going? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing fantastic, and not because it's my birthday very soon, but also we got some very good Prince of Persia and overall Ubisoft news that came out a while ago. And if you don't know, it's the Sands of Time remake. So, the Prince of Persia Sands of Time is a remake that Ubisoft would first announce in 2020, and they had a release date for it. It got some backlash for having rather lackluster graphics, kind of graphics that are coming out in the PS3 era, and people were kind of clowning on Ubisoft. I, as a fan, was not really excited because the idea of a remake is kind of signified that you have no new ideas in the game, right? Like, I really wanted a new game. I played Sands of Time a million times, and I just wish I can rewind it back so I can replay the game the first time. That joke's probably been used a lot, hasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, so they announced it in 2020, and then Ubisoft delays it, and then we kind of get the feeling that the game was stuck in limbo. So if you're listening to some rumors about what the devs were saying from insider sources, it appeared that the game was just never really functional with the rewind mechanic and the wall running. Apparently, Punai was a really new studio, and they were kind of unfamiliar with how to work with the Ubisoft engine, which they were forced to use. And the Ubisoft Montreal team tried to make it come to life, but sadly, it just didn't work. So they saw a backlash and thought, we can actually just reboot the whole thing at our more main developers in Montreal. So they rebooted the game and they started from scratch in 2022. And they even said this, right? I think there's a lot of words going around saying it's kind of in limbo, it's never coming out. No, it's been restarted. So all we saw in 2020, all that cutscenes and gameplay and those graphics, take it out of your mind. It's gone. And, ever since then, we kind of didn't hear much. We heard some rumors. Another report from Insider Gaming came out and said that the game is going for more a realistic approach, and it's still very early in development. Some our assets were missing. And one of the most key figures was that Yuri Lowenthal wasn't reprising his role. Now, I was a strong fan of him, especially in the game. I think he really does make that game go from like a masterpiece to me. I think this guy is kind of heartbroken, especially for the fact that he was teased, right? He was teased in 2019 and 2020, and we saw him. He can still do the voice. He's still relevant in the games industry, and he's still like a big part of the game. He's a big part of the reason why that game was so good. So not having him, I think, is going to hurt this game. At least for me, I'm going to feel a little heartbroken. I just hope... I know representation is important in this day and age, but it's a remake, and if the guy can still do it, I think he should do it. I'm all for him being like a secondary option, where it's like they have two persons voicing, like the main Persian actor, but him also, and then Yuri can also just voice the prince, like in like an option menu where you gotta select, and here's the classic voice, so I can hear Yuri again. And then I think last year we got the teaser, which showed no gameplay. All it really did was show the 2026 release date. And that kind of made me kind of feel happy that they actually have a confirmed release date and actually plan on doing it this time. We hope it's not in limbo. But again, there's no gameplay. All it really was just, like a picture of a lamp going backwards. But now we have a new report from Insider Gaming saying that the game is due out by April 2026. Now, the key word is by. So if you don't know why April 2026 and how it means by, it just means that the fiscal year ends April 1st. So I can think of like the new year to business people and to people who are in finance. The new year starts April 1st. So and we know it's by 2026, so the range is most likely going to be from January to April. Now, there's another game that's coming out in 2026 that I think every game and any movie, and any book, and anything should avoid, and that's GTA 6. And I think Ubisoft is smart. I think most game developers are smart. I think most of culture should be shocked and just kind of take a national holiday from when that game comes out. But GTA 6 is due out in May 2026. Yeah, so many sixes going on for some reason. But I think that game is due out in May, basically at the end of May. And this game, at the latest, can release in April. Now, my hunch if they want to be a bit more maybe respectful, maybe cute to the Iranian people in the game. Iran, if you don't know, is where Persia was. They could release it on I think the Persian holiday, Persian New Year is on March 20th. I think that would be a cool nod to all the Iranians who play this game and probably really appreciate that. I also would give them a lot more time to release the game. Kind of essentially gives them as much time as possible. So yeah, let's go over the article a bit. It says in an earnings presentation today where the company said that its net new bookings would be stable, but that would be delaying its flagship titles to focus on quality. This is another thing I'm going to talk about later. However, its outlook for 2026 financial year, the company mentioned some of the titles that it tends to release. Anno 117 Pax Romana. I've never heard of that game once in my life. Prince Persia Sands Time Remake, Rainbow Six Mobile, and The Division Resurgence. The company also said that other titles will be announced at a later stage. That's a hint for, if you don't know, there is a Black Flag remake coming out later in the year. It's called Obsidian. They've essentially just teased this already so many times. Before the news, we knew that Sands of Time Remake was given a fairly vague 2026 release, but with today's announcement, it pins down a January 2026 release date. And earlier, it's on a gaming report that you must forget everything you know. But yeah, so they're going over the fact that it's a whole reboot of the remake because the game has been completely rebuilt from the ground up. And yeah, so this is basically everything else that I mentioned earlier. Now, I think the point I really want to focus on and why I'm excited is that Ubisoft is focused on delivering quality, and they're willing to delay it to make it better. And this is good sign, really good sign for Ubisoft, a company that has not absolutely been doing well. 2024 was not a good year for Ubisoft. I don't think one of their games both hit commercial success and critical success at the same time. No games. It either reviewed well, sold like crap, or didn't do both either. So Prince of Persia's lost crown, despite being a phenomenal game and probably the best Prince of Persia game right after this one, Sands of Time. Did not sell well, although I think they might do another sequel to it. I kind of talked about another video, and they've kind of been hinting at it. So, and then Outlaws didn't do well, and then Assassin's Creed Shadows was delayed. Now, luckily for Ubisoft, Shadows was a success. I think some grifters online might say they're not successful and only players, but they, from everything I've been read and all the insiders and sources have been saying, that its success in at 3 million players actually had the second highest sales revenue, right behind Valhalla. Valhalla was never a game that they were going to surpass, but all in all, it's a success. And you know what the great thing is? It's the fact that they delayed it and were proven right that they should have delayed it. It was worth delaying it. And Ubisoft's admittance that, hey, we're willing to delay games, make them better, to make it a better game, better experience for players, shows that, you know, Ubisoft's learning. And that's good, because as a fan of the remake, I want it to be good. But not only that, it kind of already confirms that the release date will be coming out around 2026, and they're confident in the game. So yeah, I'm really excited. There is also the Splinter Cell remake, which we have not heard of at all. So the Splinter Cell remake, which I'm also a really big fan of, it also came out on the GameCube, funnily enough. Came out on 2 discs if everyone played it. But that game, I think it's being delayed to make it better, which is so good to hear, because I want the remake to do well. And also, we have the summer showcase coming up. So this time of the year, either we have E3, but it's not E3 anymore. It's a summer showcase that is coming up. We have a Ubisoft Forward or showcase, or something is going to be revealed this year. I think we're going to get some gameplay footage, a trailer, an interview. I think this is like the summer where the game gets revealed proper, or we see, you know, who's maybe voice acting it, you know, some more solid gameplay, more footage. I am totally counting on it. A full reveal this summer. Also, we'll get a full reveal of the Ubisoft Black Flag remake, another game that's also coming out that I'm also really excited for. And now, like, talking about like the game and what it should do in the game and how it should be, it's gonna be a kind of like a weird remake, right? Because the original game wasn't very long. It was like 6 to 8 hours on the first playthrough, and in this day and age, you really can't release a game that short, you know, and expect it to do well, expected to not get criticized for it. So I expected to lengthen the game maybe to 15 to 20 hours somehow. That'll be a bit of a challenge because the game was not the longest. There was only the prince and Farah, and that was the end of his year, and there weren't really any other characters in the game. So I can foresee them like adding new characters, maybe adding maybe a few subplots, maybe giving more characterization on Farah. I think I'd like to see that. I can also see them making the palace a bit more, maybe difficult, more to navigate. Maybe making it more like the way Warrior Within was made, how that game kind of made you go back and forth in areas and go in the future, in the past, to add length to the game. I can also see them kind of giving like the first part where you're discovering where the dagger to be a significant portion. That's also an opportunity where they can lengthen the game, make it longer, making it maybe Farah can be introduced at that point of the game as well. So I'm really excited what they do for the remake. The biggest inspiration for them is the Final Fantasy VII remake, and that is a complete almost a redrawing of the game. It plays nothing like the original. The game is basically like a reimagining, which I think is a better word to describe what that remake was. And that's what I kind of want remakes to be more like: reimaginings, reinterpretations, not necessarily the same game. More like, all right, we're gonna take this small idea and expand it, rather than just doing it, like word for word, point blank kind of remake. I think though that's always a better way to do it. I would love a reimagining on Prince of Persia 2008, because I think that game had a lot of untapped potential. I think dual combat gameplay is kind of unseen in action games. The only times you ever get like dual protagonist is in a turn-based games, because you can take turns and do combat at the same time. So it makes sense. Like, so something like Expedition 33 that has a team fighting one enemy, and you can't really do that in an action game. So I think if they kind of maybe work on that concept, they can make it really cool. And that game's had a really beautiful art style and world, and that's like my favorite like world in the Prince of Persia lore anyway, because it's just such a beautiful game. But maybe in 10 years, once they're done the Seven Time trilogy, we can get that. Anyway, I guess that's the video. Thanks for watching.